Hey everyone, I'm Rob and welcome to the test drive. Today I'm driving the 2020 GMC Terrain, and in this video I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about this small SUV. Let's go. The GMC Terrain is essentially the Chevy Equinox's better looking, more luxurious cousin. And it's a really nice SUV. It was originally introduced in the 2010 model year, and for the 2018 model year, they completely revamped it and made it into what it is today. And I really like this latest generation Terrain. So like in every other video, we're gonna start with the exterior of the 2020 GMC Terrain. And I really like the way that this one looks. It looks really good from the front. It has these really nice, very angular, more futuristic looking headlights. It has a really aggressive looking front end with a large grille, massive GMC badge, of course. Then from the side, it looks small but stylish. You have these 18-inch wheels that are the standard option on the SLT trim that I'm driving, but there are some 19-inch wheel options as well. And speaking of trim levels, there are actually 4 trim levels for the Terrain. You have the SL, which is the base model, the SLE, which is the second level trim, the SLT, which is what I have today, and then you have the Denali, which is the highest level trim. The Denali is the highest level version of every GMC vehicle. Every GMC has a Denali version, and the Terrain is no exception to that. Then from the rear, I think the Terrain looks really good as well. Kind of a similar thing with the taillights. They're very angular. Now, unfortunately, with the 1.5 liter turbo that's in this Terrain, you don't actually have visible tailpipes, which I think is kind of weird. I would like to be able to have that, but you do with the 2 liter turbo, which is the higher end option. And we'll get to that more when I get to the performance section. Then when you get to the interior, I'm again really impressed with the Terrain. I do think it is a much nicer interior than the new Equinox. Not that the Equinox interior is bad, it's great actually, but the GMC Terrain just has a higher level interior, which is what you'd expect in a GMC vehicle. You have soft touch surfaces everywhere. You have these really nice soft leather seats. You have a soft leather wrapped steering wheel. I love the look of this steering wheel as well, and it does feel really nice. You have a lot going on the dash and the doors, and it just looks really good. The interior of the Terrain also has a lot of room for a small SUV. The driver and front passenger have plenty of room. I love how comfortable these seats are. You kind of sink into them. They're bucket seats, obviously. But then the back seat is also massive. I'm 6 feet tall and I had no problem sitting behind myself, and somebody much bigger than me could actually sit behind me with no problems at all. Plenty of legroom and headroom. And I love that the back seat actually features 2 buckets in the bench. I really like that, and it just adds an element of luxury to this vehicle. And then you also have a decent sized trunk as well. I have seen some complaints about the size of the trunk, but this is a small SUV, and the fact that you have a big back seat and obviously you can fold down seats if you need, I think that that's great. Then when you get to the performance of the 2020 Terrain, you have 2 different engine options. You have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that puts out 170 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque. That's what I have in this Terrain, and it's mated to a 9-speed automatic. It's available in front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The all-wheel drive is a front-wheel drive based system, but the one that I'm driving does have all-wheel drive, and you can actually switch it from 2 to 4-wheel drive, and I've had it in all-wheel drive the entire time because I don't like getting front wheel spin and torque steer. Even with this amount of power, I just would rather have power sent to all 4 wheels all the time, so that's how I've been driving it. Although especially in the front-wheel drive version, you can get some really good fuel economy. You can get 30 miles per gallon. That's what it's rated on the highway for. However, if I was gonna buy a Terrain, I would definitely get the 2 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That puts out 252 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, still mated to the same 9-speed automatic. It's not that the 1.5 liter is terrible, but it's just a little slow. You do have the fuel economy benefit, but I don't think it's worth sacrificing the power, and that 2 liter turbo is much better. There's unfortunately no more diesel engine option for the Terrain. There was a 1.6 liter turbo diesel that was shared with the Equinox, and unfortunately, at least in the Terrain, that's no longer available. I don't know how many Terrains were actually sold with the diesel when they were available. I would say probably not that many. The Terrain also has a really nice ride. It's very soft, very comfortable to be in for a long period of time. It absorbs bumps really well. And then the cornering ability and everything, it's not bad. Obviously, this is an SUV. It's not meant to handle like a car. You do have quite a bit of body roll, but it does feel decently nimble. It is fun to drive. It's a lot more fun to drive with the 2-liter turbo, but I would say the all-around performance of the Terrain is pretty good. Then when you get to the technology, I would say the Terrain is pretty well equipped. You get this 7-inch infotainment screen standard. There is an 8-inch option as well that is obviously just an inch bigger, but that does give you navigation. However, the 7-inch does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can obviously project your navigation onto the screen. You have all of your phone functionality. GM has been offering Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in most or all of its vehicles for quite a while now. And this does have the newer GM infotainment system, which is really nice. You also have an information screen in between the tachometer and the speedometer. It gives you a bunch of vehicle information. I like that you get dual zone climate control standard. You also have a very interesting gear selection system because you don't have a gear selector. You actually have buttons for park, reverse, neutral, drive, and L, which is essentially manual mode. And I'm not crazy about it. I would rather have an actual gear selector, although I will say this does free up a lot of room. Like in many new vehicles now, you do have a USB-C port standard up front. You also have a regular old-fashioned USB port. And there are a bunch of safety options that you can get in the 2020 Terrain as well. The SLT trim actually comes standard with a few. It does have the frontal collision warning system. It has the lane keeping system that will actually move the wheel back into your lane if you're kind of veering off. Although if you veer off aggressively, obviously it's not gonna like force you back in that way. And you can turn that stuff on and off. This trim level also has heated seats standard. Doesn't have a heated steering wheel standard though. You have a nice backup camera standard, and then there are a couple additional packages that you can get that are very inexpensive. I'm actually really impressed with the pricing because you get a lot of value for the money. You have the preferred package for $1,250 that gives you a heated steering wheel, it gives you memory seats, and it also gives you a power lift gate, among a couple other things. Then you have the driver alert package, which is only $645. It's an absolute bargain. It gives you the safety alert seat, which I've had in other GM vehicles, and I'm never crazy about it, but it's basically the one that vibrates if there's some type of safety issue. If you're veering out of your lane, if you're getting too close to the car in front of you, if there's an oncoming car when you're in reverse. And along with that, it does give you adaptive cruise control, rear park assist, which is essentially the beeping as you're getting close to stuff. And then it also gives you the cross traffic alert system, which I've again had in many GM vehicles, and it works really well. There's also the Infotainment 2 package for not even $1,200, and that's what gives you the 8-inch screen with navigation. It also gives you HD radio and the Bose sound system, and I have to say that the stock sound system isn't great. It's fine, but the Bose system would be a lot nicer to have in here. The other thing that I'm kind of surprised it doesn't come standard at this trim level is blind spot monitoring, because you don't have that, but you have some other safety technology that, in my opinion, is more advanced than blind spot monitoring. But overall, I have to say that for everything you get in the Terrain and how luxurious it is, it's a really good deal, because the one that I'm driving stickers at $34,000, and GM offers some incentives right off the bat, not including like what a local dealer may offer. So you can get this for around $30,000, and I think that's really good for what you get, and you can get a much nicer one for not a whole lot more. So for me, if it was between the Equinox or the Terrain, I'm spending the maybe a couple grand more and getting the Terrain. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the 2020 GMC Terrain. Once again, I'm Rob. This is the test drive. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any awesome upcoming content. I have so many reviews in the works. I have a bunch that I haven't even edited yet, so there are going to be a lot of reviews going on the channel here in the next couple of weeks, as well as more videos of my own vehicles. I have some modifications on the way, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Thanks again for taking this test drive with me, and I'll talk to you soon.